I just don't get it. We had an example just the last administration. How much good you can do and how much growth you can generate.
Just looking at, if you average out the 8 years, the average GDP growth under the previous administration came in just under 1.5% growth for 8-year average. That's absolutely awful.
$787 billion price tag. Are Americans getting their bang for the buck from this?
Absolutely, but I don't think they realize it.
One of the selling points was, without this, the unemployment rate is going to go to 8%. Well, we got it, and the unemployment rate has gone above 10%.
That's true.
The real unemployment number is probably closer to between 15 and 20%. People don't think you or a lot of other folks in Washington get it. Does the Obama administration get it?
They'll rescue the economy, like Joe helped me do after the Great Recession. I asked him to manage the Recovery Act.
When you implemented the Recovery Act, your staff briefed you on many of the challenges of the permitting process and the impact on putting Americans back to work. And that's exactly what we see in American business as well.
Shovel-ready was not as shovel-ready as we expected.
Do Democrats think we were born yesterday? Do they really believe they can rewrite history and pretend hope and change actually ever materialized? It didn't. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear it directly from Joe Biden and Barack Obama. Let's hold Democrats accountable to their own promises. Let's judge them by what they sold us and what they actually delivered. The slowest economic recovery since World War II that only turned around when Donald J. Trump came to Washington and got the government out of the way. Let's explore.
I think the thing I would have probably done differently is I would have tried to describe earlier to the American people how serious the recession was going to be.
This won't happen overnight. As I've said before, it took us many more months to fully dig ourselves out of a recession that we now know was even deeper than anyone thought.
Which would have hopefully allowed us to have an even bigger response than we did. The American Recovery and Reinvestment Act that I will sign today is the most sweeping economic recovery package in our history.
Democrats don't just like to rewrite history. They rewrite the present. Whether it's the results of lawless radical agendas like defunding the police or massive intrusions of government into our healthcare, Democrats never own up to the disasters they create. When Obama and Biden took office, it was in the midst of an economic downturn. But what did they do about it, and what were the results? Obama and Biden promised their nearly $1 trillion stimulus would prevent unemployment from rising above 8%. They were wrong. A January 2009 White House report claimed, quote, even with the large stimulus, the unemployment rate in the fourth quarter of 2010 is predicted to be approximately 7%, which is well below the approximately 8.8% that would result in the absence of a plan. Well, they got their plan, and unemployment didn't just go above 8%, it stayed there for 43 straight months. Unemployment peaked at 10% in October 2009 and remained above 9% for 2 more years.
Maybe you're not completely leveling with us, that your assumptions are too rosy. But I keep hearing that we're going to have really high unemployment till the end of 2010.
Look, it took us a long time to get into this, and it's going to take us a while to get out. That's why we're investing the money we're investing in this recovery package.
They invested all right. And what did we get in return?
We think we're going to grow the jobs by another 600,000.
It didn't happen. Whatever happened to Recovery Summer, it ended in an economic pothole. Jobs weren't materializing, so they had to change the metric. Jobs created became jobs created or saved. Even with the rigging of the numbers, they could only find 30,000 jobs all Recovery Summer long, while 15 million Americans were still out of work. Obama and Biden promised by the end of 2010 there would be 3.3 million to 4.1 million new jobs created. In reality, the Congressional Budget Office reported the stimulus created between 200,000 and 1.5 million new jobs at a cost of up to $4.1 million per job. That wasn't all that was wasted either.
A week after filing for bankruptcy and laying off more than 1,000 workers, a Silicon Valley-based solar company got a surprise visitor. The FBI. Solyndra, which makes solar panels, received more than $500 million in federal loan guarantees and was touted by President Obama last year as a beneficiary of his economic stimulus package.
Biden tries to rewrite history now.
And it was hard work to make sure there was no less than 0.2% fraud when it got all finished. That's what it was. Less than 0.2% fraud or abuse.
But even he admitted at the beginning there would be waste. Aside from millions of dollars for highway signs, turtle tunnels, and federal studies of duck genitalia, a massive amount of the stimulus went directly to Obama and Biden cronies. 80% of green energy loans created by the stimulus and administered through the Treasury and Energy departments went to Obama's financial supporters. In all, over $16 billion went to bundlers, members of Obama's National Finance Committee, or other large donors to the Democrat Party. And who was responsible?
The president has made his number two the stimulus cop.
Am I right? They don't mess with it.
The assignment? To see that the $787 billion in stimulus money is spent wisely.
You cannot take that money and, put it in a rainy day fund or whatever.
He's on the phone several hours a week with mayors and governors, making sure they follow the rules.
But don't come back and tell me you build a swimming pool because it doesn't pass the smell test.
That's for sure. But being Democrats, it was always somebody else's fault. In October 2010, Obama had, quote, already begun thinking about what went wrong, telling the New York Times he realized too late that there's no such thing as shovel-ready projects. Even a year later, going into his re-election campaign, the economy was in the toilet, and Obama said it was just out of his control.
Do you think that you might have the unemployment rate down to 8%?
I think it's possible. Sometimes when I'm talking to my team, I describe us as, I'm the captain and they're the crew on a ship. It's going through really bad storms. And it's, no matter how well we're steering the ship, at a certain point, if you ask them, are you enjoying the ride right now? Folks are going to say no. And I don't control the weather.
Well, he did control a second term. Did things improve?
Those numbers were much more of a miss.
The White House says another underwhelming jobs report that was released this morning is a reminder that the economy still faces challenges.
Meaning a lot of people have just given up looking for a job.
Percentage of people working or seeking work has dropped to its lowest level in decades. But in a lot of places, jobs aren't paying that much, and job security, dodgy.
A blow to an economy in recovery. The worst month for jobs since the end of 2013.
First off, way below consensus estimates. So this was a pretty abysmal report.
More jobless Americans are giving up on finding jobs at an alarming level. The bottom line, a grim picture for the U.S. labor market.
Obama-Biden talked a lot about what they inherited. Well, that's what they had left President Trump. Their last quarter of GDP growth was just 1.9%, making Obama the first president in 86 years to not have at least one quarter of 3% growth.
This recovery ultimately belongs to us.
And it still does.
Next time on GOP Update, find out what President Trump did with what he inherited and how he built the greatest economy the world has ever seen. And now, we're doing it again.